Welcome everybody to today's video where I'm going to be showing you how to set up a Facebook ad campaign for your coaching, consulting, service or agency business. To be more specific, what I'll be showing you in today's video is going to be a case study of how we took a brand new account that was already spending some money on ads but was struggling with a high cost per lead and wasn't really booking any calls, to getting to the point where after just 6 days of launching the campaigns with the framework and the system that I'm about to show you, they were able to get the cost per lead down to $12 and start booking calls consistently for just $77. Now, this video is ideal for you if you are at the beginning stage with your paid advertising journey. So if you are running ads and you're spending $50, $100, $150, $200 a day, then this video is for you. Now, since I know that you're probably curious about what I'm going to be covering in today's video, the first thing I will do is I will show you how to set up a campaign in the correct way. I'm actually going to use my computer and I'm going to walk you through the entire process. After that, I'm going to be talking about the KPIs that you should be using to track the success of your campaigns. I'm also going to be talking about the audience targeting, since that is a topic that I get asked a lot. Then I'm going to be talking about how to test your creatives in the correct way. And at the end, I'm also going to be showing you the most common mistakes that people make when they run ads. Now, as I said before, if you remember, I said that the client that we started working with was getting a cost per lead that was over $35. To give a bit of context, the client is running an offer in the sales industry, in the sales niche. Now, on top of the $35 cost per lead, he was also getting a sub 5% booking rate. Now, for those of you who don't know, the booking rate is a word that I normally like to use when I talk about the conversion rate between leads and calls. So let's say, for example, that you're running ads to a funnel and you are booking 10 calls every 100 leads that you generate. That means that your booking rate is roughly 10%. And his cost per call before working with us was roughly $250, which on a 4K offer is not bad. But as soon as I audited the account, I noticed that there were so many areas where we could improve. And as you can see from here, in just 6 days, we were able to drive the cost per lead down to $14, the booking rate went up all the way to 18%, and the cost per call went down to 77%. Now, how was this possible? Well, the client was making a couple mistakes that I'm going to be showing you in today's video. And the reason why I choose this case study is because a lot of the mistakes that I'm going to be showing you are probably also the same type of mistakes that you are currently making. So without wasting any time, I'm going to jump right into my computer and I'm going to show you how to set up the campaigns in the correct way. So the first thing that you need to do whenever you want to run ads is to choose the objective. Now, as you can see from here, you have a couple different objectives. You have awareness, traffic, engagement, leads, app promotion, sales. Now, in this case, for the client I was mentioning before, we were running a VSL campaign, which is one of the most common campaigns that we run with our clients because it's very scalable, it's very predictable, and it's very easy to track. Now, I know that some of you guys might be running IGDM ads, IG follower ads. Well, in that case, you're going to be choosing a different objective, but in this case, we are running a VSL funnel, so I'm going to be selecting leads as our objective. Now, already here you can see that Facebook is telling you to choose the campaign setup, and you really have two options: tailor leads campaigns or manual leads campaigns, and that's what we're going to be choosing. After that, the first thing I normally do is I name the campaign. So in this case, I name it as BM, which is the name of my agency. Right after that, I give it a name. So the first thing I do is I want to make sure that the campaigns are named and organized in the best way possible. So whenever I look at the campaigns, I know exactly everything that is going on. So the first thing I do is I make a distinction between prospecting campaigns, meaning campaigns where you're going after a cold traffic audience, or remarketing campaigns where you target people that already know you. So in this case, we are targeting cold traffic, so I'm going to be typing prospecting. After that, I want to specify what type of campaign I'm running. In this case, I'm running a conversion campaign. After that, I'm going to be writing down the type of funnel that I'm running, and in this case, a VSL. And the last thing that I'm going to be writing down will be the date. So today is the 16th of October, so that's what I'm going to be writing down. Now, if we look at the Advantage campaign budget, so what is ABO, what is CBO? In simple words, if you run a CBO campaign, you have the one campaign where you set the budget. So let's say, for example, that you set a budget of $100 a day. In that campaign, you have, let's say, 3 ad sets where you're testing different creatives. Meta, Facebook and Instagram, in this case, is going to allocate the budget depending on the performance. If you set $100 a day at the campaign level, it doesn't mean that each ad set is going to spend $33 per day. Maybe one campaign is going to be spending $60 a day, one campaign is going to be spending $25 a day, and the remaining campaign is going to be spending $15 a day, okay? Now, again, ABO versus CBO, it really depends on where you are at with your paid advertising journey. It depends on how much you're spending, depends on how much experience you have. Now, if you're starting out and if you're running a simple VSL funnel, in the beginning, especially if you have $100 a day, which means that probably you're going to be running 5-6 different ads, which is also something that I'm going to be talking about later on, how many ads you should be running depending on the budget that you decide to invest. You are probably going to be keeping the Advantage campaign budget off. So in this case, we're going to go for an ABO campaign. A/B test, we leave that off. Now, the first thing that I'll be writing down will be batch. So in this case, batch number 1. Now, what is a creative batch? Let's say, for example, that today I am creating new scripts and I'm recording those ads. We have new hooks, we have new ad concepts. That's what I'm going to be considering as a batch. So if today I record 6 different videos, that's going to be the batch for the day. After that, I want to specify the audience. So in this case, I am going for an open targeting, no interest audience, meaning that I'm not targeting any type of lookalikes. I'm not targeting any interest, which is also, don't worry, something that I'm going to be talking in just a second. What are the different audiences that you should be targeting whenever you run ads? And after that, I normally just include some information in regards to the audience. If we're targeting just males, if we're targeting females as well, and if we have any specific range when it comes to the age. But in this case, I'm going to leave it open. And then the last thing, again, depending if you run ads in multiple countries, most of the time, let's say in this case, I'm running ads in the United States and in Canada, I'm going to be writing US and Canada. If I'm going to be running ads in a specific country, then I'm going to be writing that specific country. But I keep the ad set name pretty clear. Then we go down and we have the conversion location. So in this case, since we're running ads with VSL funnel, I'm going to be clicking on website. Then I'm going to be selecting my pixel. Then we have the conversion event. So what is the conversion event? The conversion event is basically what you're optimizing for. And if you run a VSL funnel, you can basically optimize for 2 things. You can optimize for leads, meaning people that enter their details in your opt-in page to watch the VSL, or you can optimize for booked calls. Now, one thing that you do have to keep in mind is that I wouldn't suggest you optimize for calls if you don't have at least 50 calls per week booked on your calendar directly from the ads, because Facebook campaigns work a lot better when you have at least 50 events each week. So in this case, let's say, for example, that your average cost per call is about $100 per call. You should be spending at least $5,000 per week in order for you to optimize for appointments. If that's not the case, there is no problem at all. You're just going to be optimizing for leads. So in this case, we're going to be clicking on leads and we're going to be optimizing for leads. Now, since I know that quite a lot of people are going to be making this mistake, I'm actually going to show you how to make sure that the tracking is set up correctly. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to go on my funnel, and as you can see here, this is the page that I'm running ads to. There is the opt-in page, people enter their details, and then they go to the next page. So remember that you always set the pixel at the funnel level. So if I go here, settings, that's where I'm going to be having my pixel. Now the actual code for the lead, I'm going to be setting it at the VSL level. So I'm going to click on edit page, and then I'm going to click on tracking code, and you can see that this is the tracking code that I have installed here. So I know that I'm optimizing for leads. Now to confirm that you are actually tracking the lead event correctly, you simply install this Chrome extension that is called Pixel Helper, which is going to tell you if the lead event is firing correctly, which in this case it is. The same thing can be done in Go High Level, the same thing can be done in Webflow, the same thing can be done in WordPress. Now again, to be fully honest with you, I would always suggest you use ClickFunnels or Go High Level. Stay away from other platforms unless you have a team of developers and all of that, because I've seen quite a lot of nightmares stories when it comes to other platforms. So again, we're optimizing for leads. Then dynamic creative, very, very important. You're going to be keeping that off. Then budget and schedule. Again, let's say in this case, I'm starting with like 50 euros per day. I'm going to be setting 50 euros per day. Start date, end date, I'm not really going to change anything. Now here is my favorite part. Audience controls. What should I be targeting in my ads? Should I be using lookalike? Should I be using single interest? Guys, I get that question 20 times a day. And even after I show people the proof that we've tested hundreds of different campaigns, interest, no interest, lookalike, no lookalike, broad targeting, and after having spent millions and millions of dollars for my clients, I can tell you that in 2024 and in 2025, the audience targeting does not matter. It doesn't matter if you target Tay Lopez, it doesn't matter if you target Russell Brunson, it doesn't matter if you target Grant Cardone, it doesn't matter if you target the interest coaching, digital marketing, it doesn't matter. In 2024 and in 2025, the AI from Meta knows exactly who to target. And now how do they know who to target? Because they look at what you say in the video and what you say in the ad copy. So for example, if in the ad copy in the video, you mention the word plumbers, marketing, get clients, guess who Meta is going to be showing the ads to? To plumbers who are currently looking to get new clients. It's really as simple as that, and that's why I always say, if you have to spend time on the marketing and paid ads side of things, spend time creating powerful scripts. Spend time creating new ads that resonate with your target audience. Don't waste any time testing lookalikes, testing interest. That really doesn't make any difference, especially if you're not spending a ton of money. In that case, there are some scenarios where it is more beneficial to use lookalikes when you have a ton of book calls, a lot of data that you can use and leverage. Maybe at that point, if you're spending a couple $1,000s per day, then okay, we can have a conversation. If you're spending $100 a day, just leave it. It doesn't matter. Location, yes, that is actually something that you can control. So when it comes to the location, the only suggestion that I have for you is don't put all of the countries in the same ad set. So for example, let's say that you have an offer where you go after people who speak English. Amazing. What I normally do is I have one ad set where I target the US and Canada, and one ad set where I target the top European countries. When it comes to Australia and New Zealand, it's a slightly different story. You can also have a campaign specifically dedicated for that, but it depends also how many clients you're actually getting from Australia and New Zealand. So in this case, again, I'm just gonna type United States, Canada, and I'm gonna remove Germany. I'm not actually from Germany. I don't know why it's using that as the default. Now, when it comes to the Advantage Plus audience, that means that you don't really change anything when it comes to the gender, when it comes to the age. So in this case, if I scroll down, you can see that now, if I turn that off, I have the option to choose the range for the age, and I also have the option to choose the gender. Now, when it comes to the gender, unless you have 100% of your clients that are either females or males, then keep it open, meaning both males and females. In some cases, like even with our clients, we have some clients that they only work with females. So in that case, it doesn't really make any sense. I'm just going to be targeting women only. But in most cases, we target both. And a lot of times, let's say that you look at your client base and you have 70% of the clients that are females and 30% of the clients that are males. You start spending the budget, probably most of the budget is going to go to females. The remaining 20-30% of the budget is going to go to males. Like Meta AIs knows best, so don't worry about that. So for now, we're going to keep it open. Same thing for the age. One general suggestion that I have for the age is you can keep it broad. Just try not to restrict it too much. So in this case, let's say, for example, that you know for sure that you don't want to target people that are between 18 to 30. What you can do is you can just set the minimum date to 30, okay? But then the rest you keep it open. I would always suggest to have at least like 30 years as the gap for the age. Then we go down and then we write digital marketing for our interest. Of course, I'm kidding, but I'd like to make some jokes. But again, one thing that I have to say is that I'm not saying not to use lookalikes, not to say interest because I've heard it from someone else. No, I've done hundreds of tests over the past 2 years, and I can guarantee you that it does not make any difference. And one more thing that I will say is that I've been running ads since 2019, okay? So it's been a long time. In 2019, you were using interests that were going after like an audience of 50,000 people, 70,000 people, and I loved it. And I was there inside of the ad account, 50 ad set, turning on, turning off, scaling. It was fun. Right now, Meta unfortunately does most of the job. It simplified a lot of things, but right now it doesn't really make that much sense to play around with interest and all of that. Then when it comes to placements, this is very, very important. You're gonna leave it open, meaning that you're going to use the Advantage Plus placement. Now again, if you click on edit, if you click on manual placement, if you only want to run ads, for example, on Reels, you can do that. You just go here, you deselect the feed, you deselect the search result, and then you only have the stories and Reels. Now personally, I would always suggest you have the Advantage Plus placements, but one thing that I will tell you, and I will show you later what I mean by that, is that you should always tell your editor to create 2 different variations of the video. So let's say that right now I record one ad. I will tell my editor, hey, I need to have one version that is in the 1080 by 1080 format, meaning the square, and one version is 1080 by 1920. But that is the same video, is the same script. I don't re-record it twice. It's just different format. One that is going to be fitting for the stories and Reels, and the other one that is going to be fitting for the feed. Then, when it comes to the ad name, what I normally write is I write dynamic ad copy. And then I write down video ad 1. Dynamic ad copy, what do I mean by that? Basically, in this case, I'm going to be doing a test with Meta, and I'm going to be using 2 or 3 different ad copies and 2 or 3 different headlines, and then Meta is going to choose and he's going to allocate the budget on the one that is getting the best results. Then I'm going to scroll down. Source URL. So in this case, I'm actually going to be going to the opt-in page. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to my VSL opt-in page. I'm going to be taking the link. In this case, it is a split test, but it's still going to be showing the ad to pages. So I'm going to paste it here. Don't know why it looks that ugly. I think it probably is a different funnel. Set up the creative. So I'm going to be clicking here. I'm going to be clicking on video ad. Actually, what I can do is I can even set up like the campaign live with you. So I'm just going to be taking the ad copy from one of my previous campaigns. So I'm going to be copying ad text option. I'm going to be taking, what I normally suggest is whenever you write an ad copy, the test that I normally like to do, and one also thing that I need to be telling you is that if you look at your results, the video and the messaging itself is going to determine the performance of the ad, okay? The ad copy will have some sort of an impact, but in most cases, it's gonna be like 15-20%. So if you write an amazing ad copy, the cost per lead or the cost per call, depending on what you're optimizing for, might go down 15-20%, but it's never gonna go down 80%. The only case where it can go down that much is when you have a video, when you have a creative that really resonates with your target audience and that is really hitting, okay? So in this case, I'm gonna be using 2 ad copies. Potentially, you could also be using 3. Headline, same thing. So I'm gonna be scrolling down. I'm gonna be taking 1. This is my best performing headline, but if you are starting out, you can also test 2 of them. So one could also say the best way to get high ticket clients, or could also even just take these, go down. Okay. Description, call to action, again, depending on where you're sending people. Normally, I just leave it to learn more. I'm going to be clicking on next. Now here, very, very important. You see here, for example, that this video is the same as this video. It's just 2 different formats. So in this case, what I'll be doing is I'll be selecting the video. I'm going to be clicking on next, done. Here, you can see that for the feed, it fits perfectly.
With the system that we built, on average,
okay, you see that it fits perfectly. Now for the stories, that's not going to look amazing. So if I click on advanced preview and I go to the Instagram stories, you can see that it's a square. Or if I even do the opposite, and if I add the video and I go to add media and I add only the stories and reels,
with the system that
you can see that it looks weird. Okay. So very important, for the feed, only 1080 by 1080, and for the stories, only 1080 by 1920. So I'm going to be clicking, selecting the version for the feed. Then for stories and reels, I'm going to be clicking here, change, and I'm going to be selecting the vertical format. So now it's perfect. Now, in case you also want to change the thumbnail, very easy. You click on edit, you click on thumbnail. You can either create and design your own thumbnail, or you can just pick a manual one. Now in this case, they are all pretty bad, so I will probably just design a new one. But again, even in that case, yes, you can improve the results a bit, but it's not that you are breaking even on your ads because of the thumbnail. Like, it's going to improve, it's the cherry on top of the cake, but if there is no cake, then you can have a great cherry, but you're still gonna be hungry. Now, if we scroll down, where was I? Website URL, I'm gonna be scrolling down, wait, here, browser ads on, none. One thing very important that I cannot forget to tell you is the URL parameter. Now, I think I actually do have another video here lined up for today where I talk about the tracking. So let me actually get that for you. I'm even giving you a small sneak peek to the next video. Now, if you scroll down, where was it? Here, manual tracking. So basically, you know that when it comes to paid advertising, when it comes to marketing, tracking is very important. Now you're gonna say, yes, I know that that is very important. And my answer to you is no, you don't. Because I talk to so many people. I jump on so many calls every single week. And the amount of people that are actually tracking their data correctly and know exactly from which ad each call and each sale and each lead is coming from is probably less than 10%. So the chances are that you're not tracking everything correctly are pretty high. So how do you do that? Very simple. We go to the bottom of the ad where we are here. We click on, we click on build a URL parameter. Now again, it's really up to you how you want to call it. What I normally do is I type Facebook, PPC, the campaign name, I'm going to be clicking campaign name, and then here I'm going to be writing the ad ID or the ad name. Now, what is this even doing? What is a UTM code? Well, let me explain and let me show you quickly. So let's say that you launched the campaign today, okay? Let's say that you got a new call on your Calendly or whatever software you use to book a call. You're going to be able to tell the name of the person booked the call, the phone number, and you're also gonna be able to tell the email. You take that email and what you do is you go on ClickFunnels or Go High Level, and if you use the code that I just showed you, whenever you break down the data from that specific contact, from that specific lead, you're gonna be able to tell exactly from which campaign it came from which ad it came from. Because you can see here, UTM source. UTM source in this case, I know that that is coming from Facebook because that's what I typed here. If here I wrote Instagram, here you would see Instagram. Then UTM campaign, why is it telling UTM campaign? Because this is the name of the campaign that I was using before. The VF Group A Prospecting 1907. UTM content, what is this long number here? This long number here is one ad. So for example, if I go to my ad account, let me actually go back. And if I click on filter, I click on name ID, I click on ad ID. Now, it will take me 1 second, so it's 120-21195, 1945, 4605, 83. Took me some time to write it down, so I'm going to be clicking on apply. I'm going to click on campaigns, and guess what happened here? I can see exactly from where that person came from. So once you know where your calls are coming from, you're then going to be able to optimize and allocate the budget only on the campaigns and only on the ads that are actually getting you the best results. Okay? So now what we are going to be doing, let's say that we have 3 videos, really simple. I'm going to be duplicating it. Then I'm going to be choosing the second video that I want to test, add media. Here I'm going to be going for the second one. Second one is this one. I'm gonna go up. I'm gonna be changing to video 2. Then I'm gonna be exiting. Then I'm gonna be duplicating. Video 3. Depending on how many videos you have and how many hooks you have, what I normally suggest in this case we have $50 a day, which is not that much of a budget. So what I would probably do here is I would create 2 different ad concepts. Now, what do I mean by ad concepts? Ad concept is basically the big idea that you have whenever you are creating the ad. So let's say, for example, that you have a remote closing offer, okay? Perfect example. Now, when it comes to the remote closing offer, there are multiple ways of presenting the message to the audience. So the concept, the idea is that on one ad, the idea or the concept could be, okay, if you wanna live a life of freedom in 2024, you need to master a high income skill. High income skill is the concept for video 1. For video 2, the concept could be you trashing other businesses. If you've been told to start a dropshipping store, if you've been told to start an Amazon FBA store, if you've been told to start trading, here is why it's not going to work and here is why you are going to fail. Okay? One ad concept is the high income skill, the other one is trashing other business models. And then for each one of those concepts, you can create 3 different hooks. The hook is basically the first 3 to 5 seconds of the actual video itself. So in total, you're going to have 3 hooks for one concept, and then you use each hook with the same concept, meaning 3 ads. 3 ads here. In total, you have 6 ads. And with a budget of $50 to $100 a day, that is perfect. Then what I was even doing here, I think I was launching the last one. Oh yeah, I had to change this one, and this one is the one where I'm drinking the coffee. So save, perfect. I'm here, I'm happy. You can add, again, an order free if you have an order free and you test it. One thing that you can also do if you test different, I don't want to make it too complicated, but let's say, for example, that in this case you have the hook. You normally divide the ad, the ad is divided in 3 parts. You have the hook, the body, and the call to action. Now the call to action is not really a test you're going to be doing, but you're going to be testing different hooks and different bodies, and you can actually mix these variables. So for example, in this case, what you could be doing is you could be having hook 1, body 1. On the other one, you could have body 1, hook 2, hook 3, body 1. Okay, now I hope I didn't make it too complicated. In case if you're interested in setting the creative task in the correct way, the naming and all of that, and general principles, then I'm going to be more than happy to create a video specifically for that. Sorry, I need some coffee. So with that being said, here we're going to be clicking on the edit button. We're going to be publishing the campaign, and then we are going to let it rip. Now to finish off this video, I just want to share one more time the key takeaways that we got from today's video. Number 1, make sure that you choose the correct campaign setup and the right objective. Number 2, make sure to use a correct naming convention for the campaigns. You want to be able to understand exactly everything that is going on within your account. I know that I do have some problems when it comes to that. I always want everything to be organized. I always want everything to be perfect, and I always want everything to be under control. So make sure that you name your campaigns, your ad sets, and your ads in the correct way. Third thing, you know me very well, tracking. Make sure to set up the tracking the correct way. Make sure that the pixel is set up correctly. Make sure that the event is set up correctly. If you are booking less than 50 calls per week from your ads directly, then I would suggest optimizing for leads. I might do a video in the future specifically talking about VSLs and whether you should be sending people to an opt-in page or whether you should be sending people to the VSL page itself. After that, we have budget allocation, but in that case, again, it depends on the budget. If you want to spend $100 a day, that's great. If you are loaded and you're a baller and you will spend $2,000 a day, perfect, amazing. Go with 2K a day. Audience controls, I gave you a couple of tips, especially when it comes to the audience targeting, lookalike, interest, all that doesn't really matter. Then I also gave you some suggestions when it comes to the developing the hooks, the bodies of the ads, and also making sure that you use a specific video for the feed and a specific video for the stories and reels. And finally, I told you and I showed you how to set up the UTM codes to track exactly where every lead, every call, and every client is coming from. So with that being said, there is not really much else left for today. So as always, if there is any specific video that you want to see, then simply leave a comment down below and I'll be more than happy to create a video around that topic. If you have any question, of course, always feel free to message me on Instagram. You can find me at bonazzamarco_, I believe. I'm pretty sure. So with that being said, see you next time. Bye-bye.